Welcome to the module on women and gender equity in sports culture. The main focus of this module is helping students understand what equity looks like, what gender equity looks like in esports and in sports in general. So this module begins with, as you can see here, the lesson 1 begins with the history and growth of women in sports. And it looks at women participating in sports from the beginning, how Olympics began, the participation of women in Olympics and sort of how that level has changed, how treatment of women in those sports has changed. And then it applies and starts to move that forward into more present day sport opportunities, including lesson 2, which then hits more of the obstacles and the toxicity that can happen, and looking at what that might look like and discussing that as an issue. As you can see, the bulk of the lessons here, though, focus on positive change, and students embrace that, look at what that looks like, what kind of positive changes are already happening, as well as what it takes for them to become change agents themselves. So they choose a role as a change agent, and then they embark on sort of creating their own positive change campaigns for what kind of things people can do to move equity forward, especially for gender equity. And that is the bulk of this unit. I will scroll down just briefly. Again, this follows the same format. There are the big overall learning objectives, and you can see it's all looking at women, or the involvement of women in sports, and sort of the things that have happened in relation to that, and the kind of treatment and experiences that happen with bias, and then the movements towards positive change. There's also then each lesson following that same flow of beginning with the learning outcomes. All the lesson steps then are then included with suggested timing and any resources or additional guidance you might need in each step. Some resources are embedded within the steps, like this International Olympic Committee resource. And then as you continue, at the end of the lesson, there's always then mention of what the assessment is within that actual specific lesson, any assessment formats there are that you can use for informal or formal assessment. And then also the lesson resources are then linked. And sometimes that includes additional resources that may be supplementary for you to enhance that lesson, or support students who might be looking to sort of dive deeper. The other note that is worth pointing out for this module is that there is a mention of or involvement of gender inequality in terms of treatment in the digital citizenship module. And so if you're doing these modules in order, you may have already come over that, or you might be looking here to find some readings and supplementary activities to sort of beef up that section in the digital citizenship module. So that may be another way to use this information and use this this guide to help with learning for your students throughout these esports modules. Again, all the resources are given here. This is an example of the Save the Last Word protocol, and it gives you the steps piece by piece for students to engage in that format, and that it makes sense then for students. They'll share, then the person who was the first sharer gets to be the last one to share, sort of the really short version of how that looks. And other than that, again, lots of resources here. And then the positive change parts of this module involve the students becoming that positive change, finding ways that they want to start being the change. And that is really the bulk of what this is all about. So pardon my scrolling, and good luck with this module. I hope you enjoy.